Welcome everybody. My name's Ashley Thompson. I'm the UK and US Sales Director here at Alumio, and I'll be the host for this game show today. Now, seriously, all jokes aside, I'd like to start off by thanking you all for attending today for this joint webinar by Alumio and FreshDynamics. And during this webinar, we'll take you through how you can rapidly connect Microsoft Dynamics 365 and finance supply chain management to EDI and e-commerce using our integration platform in a fast, flexible, and future-proof way. There'll be questions and answers afterwards, so please leave your questions via the comments in the presentation if you're watching via YouTube or LinkedIn. The highlights of today's webinar will, of course, be the two demos we plan to share with you. The first demo we will share will be by FreshDynamics. They will show you, this will showcase an API plugin that Alumio provides to enhance the integration capabilities of complex ERPs like Dynamics 365. The second demo will showcase Alumio's integration platform, or iPaaS, and how you can use it to seamlessly connect Dynamics 365 to various e-commerce platforms. Now, before we dive into these demos, I believe the introduction and background of both FreshDynamics and Alumio is in order. From Alumio, we have Mikkel, who will take us through the Alumio demo, and from FreshDynamics, we'll have Devi Prasad Malla and Gert Gertsen, founder and co-owner of FreshDynamics, who would now like to quickly call to the screen to give us a small introduction on FreshDynamics.
Okay, thanks Ashley for giving over the presentation to me. My name is Gert Gertsen. Like Ashley said, the founder and co-owner of FreshDynamics. FreshDynamics is a Microsoft partner, and we are located in the Netherlands, in the middle of the Netherlands, in Geldermalsen. And in between, we have around 15 years experience in Dynamics AX, Dynamics F&O, and nowadays, of course, Dynamics 365 F&SCM. And we work together with several international partners. We have around 10 employees. And we focus on ISV solutions. And also, we are the producer of this API plugin for Alumio to connect with 365 F&SCM. We deploy these solutions in several countries all over the world. We made, for example, purchase-to-pay integrations, fresh add-on, and of course also this Alumio plugin. And we strive also to get our solution to get it in the Microsoft App Store. And in between, this Alumio plugin is also already available in the App Store, in the Microsoft App Store. And in between, we have deployed around 60 plugins in several countries in the world. That's what I would like to say about FreshDynamics at the moment. And Ashley, I would like to give the presentation back to you.
Great. Thank you for that, Gert. Brilliant introduction. So let's get into things my side, give you all the background on Alumio. So Alumio's been around for sort of 20 years, has a lot of experience in building integrations between ERPs, e-commerce platforms, ePaaS systems, and warehouse management systems and PIM systems. We learned the hard way what a nightmare it can be to create point-to-point integrations using custom code, and we experienced these integrations were hard to reuse and could only be created and managed by senior developers and had no login or monitoring. So we decided to use our extensive experience to build this Alumio iPaaS. Now you can see in the middle here, this is the actual iPaaS. So if you guys were looking to use Alumio, or if you already have used Alumio, then you can see this is what the dashboard will look like. Very bright, colorful, very easy to use. iPaaS stands for Integration Platform as a Service, and it helps create, monitor, and manage integrations via a user-friendly interface without any code. Now, some of the key benefits of using Alumio's iPaaS is that it makes your integrations understandable and visible on a user-friendly interface. It automatically adds login and monitoring to help you detect integration areas. It enables organizations to upscale your integrations with junior developers and has less technical skilled professionals. And companies also really like working with Alumio's iPaaS because it makes integration scalable, compliant, and secure. It centralizes integrations, gives control and ownership over data. It helps organize future-proof IT landscapes. So now let's dive into Alumio and how it creates future-proof integrations with a complex ERP like Microsoft Dynamics 365. Now, Microsoft Dynamics 365 is an excellent ERP. This helps streamline and automate financial operations, inventory management, order fulfillment, and logistics. However, when it comes to integrating Dynamics 365 with PIM, e-commerce platforms, other software, there's one big challenge. The default OData web services that Dynamics 365 delivers are missing crucial API data points needed, such as, I was going to list out a couple here. So there's customer-specific B2B pricing, there could be customer balances, and also maybe sort of get warehouse stock locations. Working with OData endpoints are complex in general, and attempting to use them to acquire the needed data involves requiring expertise in Dynamics 365 business logic or help of Microsoft consultants, a significant amount of time and resources to create new custom API points for improved digital commerce integrations, and using OData endpoints will result in significant performance loss, and is due to the large amount of OData you will need to make in order to run your integrations. So Alumio offers a special API plugin that helps instantly install these lacking API points. This is also known as web services into Dynamics 365 ERP that are needed for digital e-commerce integrations. Alumio's API plugin adds the lacking API points to Dynamics 365 without any Dynamics 365 or OData expertise required, with bespoke coding or third-party support needed, with improved performance, and all above all, it allows you to create fast, flexible, and future-proof integrations. Now, Azure ERP now has the ability to connect more effectively with other software. You can start building your integrations. With the current demand for digitalization, you probably need to integrate with more systems or customers in the near future. This is the part where Alumio comes in to help seamlessly integrate Dynamics 365 with the software of your choosing. Alumio provides a cloud-based, no-code integration platform, or iPaaS. It allows you to visibly create, monitor, and manage integrations via one user-friendly interface without any coding expertise. Now, you can use Alumio to integrate with any software, databases, APIs, SOAPs, or connect to files to digitalize your customers or suppliers via XML or EDI. And you can use Alumio's user-friendly interface to create integrations yourself by using data mapping and platform features. Alumio also offers detailed monitoring and logging features that allows you to detect and resolve integration errors. And it ensures your integrations are secure, compliant, and that you are in full control of your data. Now, in order to create integrations with Alumio, you start with creating connections to both the left side, called an incoming connection, and the right side, which is called an outgoing connection. The data route is the glue that connects the incoming and outgoing and will be your integration of a specific data flow. Based on this kind of integrations, you will need to create data routes such as customers, product orders, stock pricing, and etc. You can create these working integrations using Alumio's easy-to-use interface. And Alumio will take care of the authentication access, after which a stable connection is then created, and this obviously saves a lot of time. So this is the part where I stop talking and we actually finally show you how this actually works. To do so, we'll be showing you two demos. One that will take you through how Alumio's API plugin for Dynamics 365 actually works, and the other demo of Alumio's integration platform and how you can seamlessly create end-to-end integrations with a variety of e-commerce platforms. We would now like to introduce our partners at FreshDynamics to give you a demo of the Microsoft Dynamics 365 web services and how Alumio's API plugin works.
Thanks, Ashley, for giving over the presentation. Before I will give it to my colleague Davey, who will show some screenshots in Dynamics 365 and some setup, I would like briefly tell some things about this API plugin project, where we encountered some interesting challenges or topics. I will only tell a few of them about them. For example, the first one was there was a requirement to connect to 365 from Alumio without extensive 365 F&SCM knowledge. Because connecting to 365 F&SCM requires a lot of in-depth knowledge of the business logic of 365. And that knowledge is mostly not available at customers, partly at consultants, at partners. And therefore, our API plugin contains not only a lot of technique, but also the plugin is aligned with the business logic of 365. For example, when we have the endpoint, which is developed by us for getting price and stock values, but also an endpoint to do an order simulation and also to create, for example, a customer payment journal. That was the first for us interesting challenge. The second was a requirement to connect efficiently without using a lot of OData endpoints, because 365 has in it a lot of OData endpoints, and if Alumio of their partners or customers has to find out what and which, it makes it very difficult, and it makes it also very time consuming, because a lot of logic data is stored in several tables, in several records, and a lot of OData endpoints are needed to get the right data in the logic format. So we made several new endpoints are created by us, but also some endpoints which doesn't exist at all. For example, to get this warehouse stock based on the business logic, and also to get available delivery days based on the ordered goods by a customer, for example, in an e-commerce application, but aligned with the business logic of 365. That's the second one which I want to mention. The third one is, from our point of view of FreshDynamics, we want to deploy and to deliver a rich standard API plugin. Because if we deliver a small one, customers and partners, if they want more functionality, they have to make customization to let the plugin do what they want it has to do. And so what we do as FreshDynamics, every wish of customers, of partners, we analyze it. And if it is something which can be involved in the standard plugin without specific custom modification, we will involve it in the plugin. And then, of course, we have to make the plugin as configurable as possible. For example, the payment journal, which I mentioned already, it can be configured like it has to be processed immediately or not. But also an upcoming feature in which we make it possible that the customer can approve first his data before it comes into Dynamics 365. It comes then in, of course, via the connector, via the plugin. And as we speak, last week, a customer came with a wish of processing also RMAs, return merchandise authorizations, and we build it also in our standard plugin. We are busy with it, with building it in. So three important points which I mentioned, and that's first, connecting without extensive knowledge of the business logic of 365, connecting without using a lot of OData endpoints, and connecting using the standard plugin. That's what I would like to say at this moment in the demo, and I would like to give the presentation over to my colleague Dave, who will show some screens in 365.
Thanks for handing over presentation to me, Get. Hello, everyone. Myself, I am Devi Prasad Malla. I'm working as a senior function consultant in FreshDynamics from the last 3 years. I'm specialized in supply chain management and manufacturing. Overall, I have 10 years of experience in Dynamics AX. So today I will walk you through the basic setups and parameters of Alumio in Dynamics 365. So within Dynamics 365, we have created a new module as Alumio. Within the Alumio module, you can see 3 different sections. One is message section, and the second one is Alumio queries. These are all the several endpoints which we developed for Alumio, and also the parameters. So I will first start with the parameters. Coming to the parameters, there are 2 parameters which we have to set up. The first one is a message parameter, which is a global parameter. So first I will talk about the global parameter. I mean, these setups are applicable for all the companies within the environment. So within the message parameter, you can see 3 different tabs. First, coming to general tab, you have to provide the URL where you have to where the messages has to be sent, and then you have to select the appropriate file format, and also you have to set the maximum connection time over here. And then coming to next tab is authentication. This is a one-time setup. In order to authenticate with the current environment, we have to establish a connection between Dynamics AX and Microsoft Azure. And then the last one is the class parameters, where you can see several endpoints. You have to do the setups, and you have to set the execution mode, whether it is a synchronous or a reliable synchronous. Synchronous is live data. It will interchange the line data from Alumio to Dynamics AX. Whereas reliable asynchronous is we have to set a batch, and also for all push endpoints, you have to set drop location over here, and also you have to provide the custom service URL where the address where the custom service can be called in the local machines. Over here, and then coming to Alumio parameters, it's a company specific parameter. You have to set it up for each and every individual legal entity. And here you can provide the default values of like sales origin, terms of payment, charges code, and the warehouse. These will be useful, while creation of sales order. If there are no values specified in the message, the default values will be picked. And at the same time, you can also set up a default payment journal over here. You can also enable if you want to post the journals directly. And coming to messages section, you can see basically the messages we have created two different menus. One is message table and message list. Within the message table, you can see all the log of different messages, all the incoming and outgoing messages over here. So you can track or you can monitor all the messages, the process time it took, and also the status of each message, whether it is processed or it is still executing. So we can monitor everything from here. And also if some message or some service, if it ended with some error, you can see always you have a provision to see the request and the response from here. And also you can see the message data, what data has been sent. And yeah, and also you have a provision to process all the endpoints from this screen. Like if you want to push the customer, you can do, so for some reason, if some message is ended with an error, you can again push the same message, like you can you can click the push customers and you can rerun the process. So the same, we have also given the provision over here, like all the endpoints. You can see everything over here, like all the push and get messages. Like push endpoints are meant to be executed from or within the Dynamics 365 and then sent to Alumio. But whereas the get endpoints are from Alumio to get certain data or information from Dynamics 365. So you can set all push messages. You can set as a batch. You can set a recurrence over here if you want. You can enable the batch process, and you can set the recurrence like hourly basis or in any minutes. And yeah, and also you can set some criteria if you want to push certain data based on a customer group or something like that. You always have that provision, to set the criteria over here. And yeah, yes, and one major advantage of using this Alumio API plugin for Dynamics 365 F&SCM is it helps you to acquire all the requested data on one single API call. This saves you the hassle of getting your data from multiple endpoints and then combining this to a functional whole in order to receive the requested data instantly. That's all from my side. My colleague Mikkel, he will walk you through the end-to-end process right from AX to Alumio. Over to you, Ashley.
Great, thank you very much. So before we continue, just to Let everyone know, obviously, we are doing Q&As later. So just looking at some of the comments here, we have DeFreeze asking, is this really live? Yes, we are live, DeFreeze. So hi to you. So let's continue. So thank you, FreshDynamics, for that demo. That was fantastic, and how the Alumio API plugin works. Now that we've shown you the benefits of the API plugin and how it enhances the integration capabilities of Dynamics 365, let's show you how you can now seamlessly integrate the ERP with different e-commerce systems using the Alumio integration platform. So it's over to you, Mikhail, please.
Okay, hello, my time to speak. So to introduce myself, I'm Michiel van Veldhuizen. I'm working at Alumio since the start of January, which is quite recently, but been able to pick up Alumio quite some, so it's able to step into also without any technical knowledge. I do have some technical knowledge from my studies before, but made the switch to product consultant because I like the interaction with people, just as this. So yes, if you have any questions at the end or right now, just leave them in the comments. You don't have to wait all the way till the end to leave your questions. You can put them right now and we will pick them up all the way at the questions section. So for this demo, I will talk through the process of getting data from 365 and then sending it to various e-commerce platforms. So in this case, we will show products going from point A to point B. Or actually, in this case, we're connecting multiple e-commerce platforms. So we're going from point A to point B, C, and D, because we've got 3 different platforms. So I might be switching a little bit here and there between screens because I got multiple tabs open. That's also what happens within Alumio because there's multiple things that are used for your integration. But let's talk about Alumio. So this is the Alumio page where you get into. This is the dashboard. Within the dashboard, you right away see the health monitor. Within the health monitor, you can have like a quick check of like, okay, is everything going right? Well, in this case, everything is going right. We can move forward. Then we see the stats, and the stats is about the tasks. And a task within Alumio means an integration of data. So a data point going from point A to point B becomes a task. So that task can either be new, processing, filled, skipped, finished, and then the total amount. So new means that there is a new task, but how does that work? So within Alumio, we pull data in, we set that in the queue, and that is as async. So that means that step of pulling in data and setting it in the queue makes a new task. Then sending that part away becomes processing, and once it's processed, it's either filled or finished. Or if you apply some logic to it and you say like, okay, but this and this data has this and this value, and therefore we don't need to send it or to bother point B with that. So we skip that. That is an option. It is also an option to do that filtering before it comes in and then it doesn't become a task. Already kind of in depth, but bear with me. Alumio goes very fast, very in depth, but we try to say at the surface for this webinar. And then of course, if you want to see like more demos later on, or also about the Dynamics 365 from FreshDynamics, then you can just interact with us at the end of the webinar. So back to the task. So we have a task that comes in, but how does that work? So we have tasks coming in that are by routes. So here we have a couple of things for connection. So the first of all is a route. A route is pretty much the line between point A and point B. Then we have the incoming, which is point A, and we have an outgoing, which is point B. So a route is simply the connection between, and point A could be, in this case, 365, and point B outgoing could be a Magento shop, a Shopify, a BigCommerce, anything like that. Of course, we're talking just about e-commerce platforms right now. It could be anything. You could talk to your PIM system, your any system you can think of that has an API endpoint we can talk to, but also other systems we can also talk to, and which we'll talk a little bit more about later. So then we have like the routes of going from point A with data to point B. But it is not as easy as that, because if it was that easy, anyone could do it. Just transfer all the data from A to B. You're done, not that difficult. But the issue is that a system A cannot really talk to a system B. And therefore, you have to do certain mapping, transform the data, add extra data, map certain data. And with that, we do within the entity transformers. And for this demo, we also look into webhooks, because a webhook, it makes Alumio, rather than Alumio asking for data, and then it gets data from an endpoint, and then it can send that data away. You can have a system that can shoot data to Alumio. Alumio catches that and then knows like, okay, I'm configured like this and this. I have this and this data. I can shoot it out somewhere else. And that's how a webhook works. So in the case of the plugin that FreshDynamics created, both possibilities are possible. So you can shoot data from FreshDynamics or from 365 towards Alumio, and Alumio can catch it in the webhook and send it away. But it's also possible for Alumio to say like, okay, FreshDynamics, I want to get like, for example, price and stock, and then it receives that and then it could send it away. So that's a lot of things going on. And below that, we can see a bunch of routes that are within this system. If we select all of them, we can see a bunch of routes that we are going to use within this demo, which are, I can select them like this. We have the few that say the FD365, which are then multiple routes for the same thing. Because how we mostly write the routes is we have the object, in this case products, and we go from 365 to BigCommerce, but we also have the same 365 to Magento, 365 to Shopware. You might think, okay, do I have to configure the same incoming 3 times then? No, you can actually use the same incoming, all of the settings for that, and you can send that out to the other part. So let's look at how the webhook looks at first. And from that, we go into the routes, the incoming, the outgoing. We can look at some of the transformers because there's actually multiple points where you would like to transform your data. You can do that at the incoming, before the data comes in, on the route itself, or at the outgoing. And the reason that you have this much freedom of changing your data is because every data point has, like, for example, let's say you have 1 incoming and it goes to 3 different outgoings. And you have specific changes, like, for example, adding a date, adding specific value. You can do that on the incoming because it's the same for all 3 outgoings. But for example, a product in data how you would have to send to BigCommerce is different than Magento 2. So in that case, the mapping for Magento 2, you will do on the side of the outgoing or on the route. So a whole bunch of talking. We didn't see that much. Let's actually dive into Alumio and let's see what's going on. So let's see the webhook. So this is the webhook that's created where 365 can push data to. So we have the URL, which we have to provide to the 365 API that FreshDynamics made. And from that, simply, we have to get the incoming. We also enable logging, of course. That's one of the strengths within Alumio. You can figure out a lot through the logging if something goes wrong. You can check that if something goes right. You can also check that, but in most cases, we want to see things if it goes wrong. And we can see the incoming. So within the incoming, we can see that we have a subscriber of a webhook. The subscriber pretty much means what are we talking to? This could be an HTTP subscriber. In other words, an API endpoint. This could be a database subscriber. Database, we got, like, for example, GraphQL subscribers, HTTP subscribers. So there's a whole bunch of subscribers we can talk to. So in this case, it's a webhook, and the webhook has like a certain entity schema. So data comes in. It's very nice to be able for the system to know, like, okay, the unique values are, for example, an ID or an SKU or an order number, a customer number, anything like that. And you can also find these numbers within your logs again. Then we have a filter that we filter out only the products that we want to use, and then we branch that to a pattern, branches from a pattern. That sounds kind of technical, but what we mostly do is if we get data in, you get like the whole data object. But what we would like to do is if we get a data object, we want to split it in separate tasks. And for the reason that if one of your data objects might fail and you would send that all out, the whole batch might fail. So everything might fail. If you split that up in separate tasks, you actually send them one by one. Of course, it goes automatically. You don't have to actually send it one by one, but it automatically sends them one by one. And then you actually have like the feedback of, okay, this one went right, this one went right, this one maybe went wrong. And then you can check like, okay, ID 003, something went wrong. Maybe I missed some data and therefore like point B didn't accept it. So let's actually look at the routes. So we have a whole bunch of routes within this system, but the only ones we care for this webinar are the ones from 365. So the ones from 365, we are first going to look in the products from 365 to BigCommerce, Magento 2, Shopware. As you can see, they all are connected to the same get products from FD365, the one that I just showed you. And then we have an outgoing that, for example, shows like, okay, we have an HTTP publisher. So we talk to an HTTP point, which is an API endpoint. And then we have like the whole post request, like set up, we can set up authentication. In this case, we have the authentication already set up within the client. So within the client, you can put some extra information like authentication, so you don't have to do that all the way at the end. You don't have to do that like every time you make a connection, you have to set up like the authentication, or you can just simply reuse that. And then we have some mapping towards the products of BigCommerce. So for example, we have the same thing for if we go back to, it went back to the outgoing. If we go back to the routes, we have the same thing for Magento 2, a shopware, and anything like that. So that is mainly explaining all of what Alumio does. Let's dive a little bit into the entity transformers. So if we go back here, we have this entity transformer that maps the products from 365 to BigCommerce. If we check that, we can see that we have like certain value setters. We actually map all of the data towards the mapping that a BigCommerce would like to see to actually accept the message. We can also use a entity data over here, which is data that we pasted in there, so we can actually test with this data, so we don't have to ask the data all the time to test like the whole route. We can actually save it in here. We can even, if we would like to see, okay, this is all the data that comes in with all of the transformers, this is what comes out. Perfect. So once we have all of that done, we check, is there anything else? Nope, we just branch it that we only get the key that we want to have, and that is that. So one more thing I would like to show is for the example of BigCommerce, we are talking to an HP subscriber. We have some connector packages, which I have to find through the outgoing. As you can see, there's a lot of layers within Alumio. There's a lot of tabs. So that's sometimes a little bit of a struggle, but it is the best way to manage all of your integrations and all of your processes going. So now we're looking at the Magento 2 create products. That's also the outgoing configuration. And in this case, you can see the publisher is very tiny. This is one of our connector packages for Magento 2. We have a bunch of those connector packages, and it's very simple. The whole endpoint of publishing a product is already written in there. You only have to connect your client, which has the authentication, where your shop is, and all of that. And then you have to provide the correct data, and the connector package will do everything for itself. So now we have a whole bunch of talk of what Alumio can do, but let's actually show it doing something. So for this, I have an instance of the 365 as well that has a Alumio plugin. And from here, we can push products. So as we could have seen before on the dashboard, we could see that there's no new tasks right now. There's a few skipped, there's a few finished, no fails. If we go here and we say, let's say, push products, we already have some preset data in here that I know what kind of response it gives for this webinar. If you press OK right now, you can see please waiting while processing your request. This takes a few seconds, sometimes up to a minute. Not entirely sure like how long this should take because we're on the side of Alumio right now, so I'm not too sure about the dynamics part. But in the meantime of waiting, I can show you that I have 3 stores. I have a BigCommerce store. I have a Shopify store that just locked me out. Maybe this store also locked me out. Let's see, Magento store didn't lock me out. Perfect. So we have 3 different stores that we just use as demo stores in this case. So some of them have products, some of them don't. But let's send out the products that we just came in from the 365. So if we check this in Safari right now, we can see that it is finished. Normally it gives a slight message from, okay, it's finished. But since I was in another screen, it doesn't show that right now. But what we can do, if we go to the webhook right now, we go to the webhook we just send the data to, and we can see here for the timestamp that it is currently, it's about pretty accurate. We can see that we have 36 tasks created. So we can go to the logs. We can see, okay, what data comes in. The FD products webhook was called. We can see that we received a whole bunch of data. We can scroll through this. Currently, it is set on the logging of long, which logs up to 10,000 characters. That's why it ends like halfway in the message. And we can see like, okay, we created a whole bunch of tasks. So with that, we can go to the task overview. If we go to the first page, we can see that we have a whole bunch of tasks. Let me also open the dashboard. You can see here 36 tasks are created. But what are those tasks for? So let's select this as 20. We can see that we have 12 products for BigCommerce, 12 for Magento, and 12 for Shopware. These are the 12 exact same products, but they are sent to 3 different locations. That's mainly how it works. So then we can look into the task itself. If we go to the task, we can go to a specific identifier. We can see that the identifier is an SKU as it is set up right now. We click on this, we can check the entity data, and we can see that we have like one data object rather than the full batch of data objects as I got like the request, because we branch it into like individual tasks, and then we can send out this individual product towards the other systems. So we can again check the import message, like all of the products which I was talking about, and then for export message, it's not there yet. So now we did the part of the incoming towards Alumio. Now we have to do the part from Alumio towards the end goal, so system B in this case, or in this case, system B, C, and D. So to do this, of course, I'm doing this manual right now. In the actual environment you're going, or like in your own environment, if you decide to purchase Alumio, this will all go automatically, which I will show in a second as well. So if we go to the routes, let's select the route names. We go to the 365, we hit apply. We go to the actual routes. Let's open all of them. So in this case, if I would want to send the data out, I would have to run the route. So if I run the route right now, this one is for BigCommerce, for Magento 2, and for Shopware. And we can see that the publisher has been exported. Within here, we can also see the logs, like, okay, what happened? And we can see like that we're sending a request. We also can see that we do some security in the sense of, normally in here you would see your access token. If you encrypt those within an environmental variable, slightly technical, you can get those security things in there, and it just says redacted. So in case you would send this message to your colleague, it doesn't show the token that you're sending it with. So, and then we can see that we have a response of okay, and that is accepted by the store, or in this case, BigCommerce. We also, for Magento 2 and Shopware, we didn't see the message because I was talking for too long, but we can actually go to the tasks and we can see that the task has succeeded. We can see the same thing from the dashboard. We can actually see that we increased the tasks finished by 36. If we go to a task here specifically, we can also see it's finished. We can see the export message. But now the real thing, of course, you want to see your products in the store. So if we update the store right here, we can see that the SKU of like something 25 all the way down here. We got like 12 over here. If we refresh this store, and let's refresh this one in the meantime as well, we can see same 12 products are in here. And then we can also see that at the top here, we have the same 12 products. As simple as that. So that's all how it is set up. Like I was talking about, like you do not want to do this like all the time manually by yourself. You actually want to do this with a scheduled job, so a scheduler. So in this case, we can create a scheduled job. I'm not going to actually set it up right now because we're on limited time for this demo. We can say we could run the outgoing, and we can say we have the one from 365, for example, Magento, and we could say, okay, let's do it every minute. If you're not entirely sure how cron jobs works, but because these are cron jobs, we have this link towards the cron job. And this is, for example, every minute. You could say every 15 minutes. You could go very creative on those things as well. And we can limit it to, for example, 50. So, for example, if you would make a real-time processing connection and you pull in data and you want to send the data out by the same amount of time or the same amount of speed that you get it in, it's more in like the realistic version, it's not really that usable because system A might be way more performing than system B. And for that, you have to speak towards like the performance of both of these systems. So let's say you can pull in 1,000, but you can only shoot out like 50 every minute. Then that is something you could set in here. Let's say you can do 250, but you have to go for a lower interval. So you would only go like once every 50 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, it's written like that, but you can actually check it here within the link as well. So that is for the scheduler. Then we also have that we can pull data. So in this case, we showed that we have data pushed from 365 towards Alumio, and then we can shoot that out. So let's say we want to have something that we actually ask to 365, like, okay, can we get, for example, the price in stock? So in this case, the price in stock, if we go back to the routes, we have the routes, we have the 365. Those are also connected. We have 3 of them connected for the price and stock towards 3 different outgoings. If we go to the incoming right now, price and stock, we can check that we use one of the plugin APIs that is made by FreshDynamics. And we are asking in this case for 3 different products for the prices. If I'm not mistaken, 3 or 2. We got a 3. So the moment we run this incoming, again, this incoming you would normally run like on a cron job, on a scheduled job, so it will go automatically. But in this case, we run the incoming. It takes a moment that you to run the incoming, and that's just for the data to go through. Of course, this all goes automatically the moment you have this set in your scheduled job, and you don't really see it happening. And if we go back to the dashboard right now, we can see that we have 9 new tasks, and those tasks are 3 each for those price and stock. So let's actually check these tasks. We can go here, we can see the entity data, and here we can see, like, for example, the quantities, the pricing, everything like that. So that is the demo from Alumio's side. I hope I showed you the benefits of Alumio, but also the benefits of FreshDynamics, what they made for the Alumio plugin. And I would like to give back the word to Ashley.
So thank you, Mikhail, for that very intense demo and going through all the functions and functionality. I thought that was fantastic. Also, thank you to FreshDynamics for showing the demo. But this is the end of the presentation now at the moment. So we're going to move over to some questions and answers. So if anyone has any questions, then please leave in the comments, and then I will be able to hand over to either FreshDynamics or over to Mikhail, and we should be able to see if we can answer some of your questions. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see if there's any questions there, please.
Either the presentations were that well that no one had questions.
I think you answered all the questions, I think.
It happens, it happens.
So we have a question coming. So you're lucky there, Mikhail. So we have a question saying, can it also receive files from a CXML to my relations or connect to APIs? Or only
yes, that's totally possible. So in general, within Alumio, I showed you JSON. We are working with JSON, but we can have incomings that are XML, CXML, and we translate it to JSON. So we have our standard type that we work with. But then let's say you also have to send it out to another system, and that's again CXML or XML or YOML or any other system, or not system, but file type. Then yes, we can just we can deserialize them, serialize them, and we can produce like all of those data flows.
Great, thank you. Next question we got is from DeFries. He says, I'd love to see more about the transformation of data received from incoming connections. Let's say the data is nested with some part. How would we get it out?
Okay, so that's a question for me as well. I'm not sure if it's useful that I go back into the program to explain it, but I can explain it like briefly right now. If you would like to have more information about that or a demo specifically, we can look into that. You can ask my colleague Ashley over here. But how we do that is we can branch away certain data. So we could say like we have certain value setters, certain value mappers, certain value filters. So let's say this and this kind of data we don't need to send out, or this and this kind of data is needed, or if this kind of data is based on these and these kind of criteria, we switch it around, we map it differently. Those options are all possible within the entity transformers.
Great, thank you. The freeze is on a separate note. If you want to leave your email address, we can reach out to you afterwards. And obviously that goes for anybody within the chat. If you leave your email addresses, we can send you out some personalized information and contact you directly afterwards. But we have another question. Are there connector packages for Shopify and Shopify Plus?
We have some connector package for Shopify. I'm actually checking right now. We do have a connector package for Shopify. Personally, I'm not involved with those. I'm not too familiar with those, but they are there. So yes, they are there. If you would like more information, what can they exactly do? Again, reach out to Ashley and we can notify you with that.
Indeed. So look and see if there's any more questions coming through. There isn't at the moment, so let's give it sort of maybe another minute, see if anyone else wants to put any more questions in there. Yeah, the freeze. I will be a busy man. Another question's come through. Is it possible for Alumio to develop to make a list of confidential of conditional if then else statements to process the data the right way?
So yeah, a very technical question. So if else statements for people that are less technical here, that's pretty much if something happens, then you do this with your data flow, and if that not happens, an else, then this you do this with the data flow. And yes, also within the entity transformers, it is possible to have all of this kind of logic you would normally do by programming or your senior programmer has done. You can actually do this in a more readable and understandable way for people to manage also without any programming knowledge.
Great, thank you. I'll just see if we can take a couple more. It's about 1:45. We've got a couple more minutes left. See if anyone else wants to leave any questions here. Right, I don't think there is any more questions coming in. So I think we'll hold on. We've got two have come in just at the last minute. Just about to wrap up. We have a question saying, "Can you please show the mapping example?" I can answer this. Obviously, we can't really do that now within this live demo because we have a certain amount of time. But again, the running theme here is to leave your email in, and we can reach out to you and we can arrange a demo, and we can actually show you the mapping directly. Me and Mikhail can actually show you that happening, but we won't be able to show you that actually on the demo, unfortunately. Another question's come in. How hard is it to install the API plugin, and any explanation here, please?
So that question I think is for Kurt.
Yeah,
go ahead. If you want to explain, you're more than happy to take this one away.
Yeah, it's not so hard. API plugin is a deployable package, and everybody who knows Dynamics 365, he knows what a deployable package is. It has to be installed like any deployable package has to be installed in the 365 environment, and after installing, some setup has to be done, and then the API plugin is ready to use. So it's not such an hard thing. No. And we deliver, of course, also together with the API plugin, we deliver, of course, documentation how to do the setup. So no, not a hard thing, but a good question.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you. Another question's come in. Hello, from the 365 side, can we program every task created, or is it that part handled by Alumio? I'm sorry if it was answered already, but this is a question. If anyone would like to answer this, please.
Question from me, I think. Huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Can we program every task created? The question is not really clear for me, but I think that Clowny 2 means that if for example some functionality is not supported by the plugin, can we program it on our own, something like that? What I understand. Like I said also in my intro, let us say in my intro, if we analyze a wish of a customer, we decide then we can involve it in the standard plugin, yes or no. And if we do it, then okay, then it is involved in the standard plugin. But I hope this is the answer on your question, Clowny 2, and if not, please ask a second question.
Great, thank you. Over then to DeFreeze again. Are there any known limitations, and are we as developers feel as we are developers free to build on top of Alumio?
Okay, so for the Alumio part of limitations, what we noticed mostly for limitations is the systems we talk to. For example, a big system, for example, like Magento 2 could be very slow with handling a lot of requests. Those are mostly the limitations we walk into, not because of our own platform, but rather the limitations of like other platforms. And on your second questions, as developers, are you free to build anything on Alumio? The answer is yes. Alumio, as I just showed you, the dashboard is headless. So everything that I was doing was actually an API call to the backend of Alumio. Let's say you would like to create a different dashboard with very specific, let's say you have multiple customers, and for each customer you have specific routes. Those routes you can, for example, also, how do you say it? You can also make an own dashboard to see to showcase, okay, these are the tasks for those customers, these are the tasks for that customer, and that way create your own dashboard through the API of Alumio itself.
Great, thank you. Let's see if there's any more questions before we wrap up. So I don't think there's any more questions coming in on this end. So I think it's good if we wrap up. So thank you everybody for watching the demonstrations and listening to me today. Thank you very much again to FreshDynamics and Gert, and also thank you to Mikkel for showing us the demo. Our details there are below, so if anyone needs any information on the Alumio side or on the FreshDynamics side, please feel free to get in touch with Gert, and please feel free to get in touch with me with any questions or any queries or any demonstrations or anything about pricing. Please let me know. But thank you everybody for your time, and thank you for today.
Thank you.